Right, hi everybody. As promised, just a little chat about hoops and things. Now, just to say, some of you have done lots of my classes. There's some people in this class who this is their first one. So I just want to say, I do have a small studio. It's very, very small. It's attached to the side of the house. Now, I prefer when I need my sewing machine or if I need my ironing board to work in the house. So sometimes we'll be in the house, sometimes we'll be in the studio. The only reason I think I would take my machine, well, my machine's always in my studio, and if I'm just doing something for myself, I'm out there and I'm doing it out there. But if I'm making a video, because I need to put the video camera up and the tripod, etc., there's more room to spread out in the house. So the only reason, if I needed to make a video, that I would do it in the studio on the machine is if my husband was here, because we only have one living area, which is a big lounge dining room open area thing. So I'm in the house today, and I think that's all I need to say about that. So first of all, I want to touch about scrim. Now, I buy scrim. I used to be able to get it. I used to be able to get it bleached, but I can't seem to find the bleached stuff anymore. So this is unbleached. I bought it unbleached and I bleached it. Okay, I just soak it in water and bleach. I dilute the bleach. I don't have any measurements like mils or quarts or anything like that. I just put a bit of bleach in some water. Put this in, stir it round, keep checking it, stir it round again, keep checking it, stir it round again, and then when it's white, which it isn't actually as white as perhaps it could be, I take it out and I put it in the washing machine and I just wash it on a 40-degree wash with washing detergent and fabric softener, and then I put it in the dryer, and that's how it comes out the dryer. Okay, lovely and soft and fluffy, but that isn't what you want. Okay, you'd have a nightmare stitching on that. So then what I do is I press it with a hot iron, and this is what happens when you press it with a hot iron. It gets some of its structure back and its tension. Now, just to say, I don't think Harem cloth's available anymore. I'm reliably informed by a friend of mine who lives in America, who's probably listening, who said that you can't get it anymore. So I don't know. She might have been on the gin. I don't know. And I know she's listening. She'll have been on the gin. But it's very, very openly woven, okay? And the beauty of it is, not that we'll be doing this all the time, but I haven't got a needle. I'm saying another thing, if you knew, I'm unprepared. I think I'm prepared, and then I get here, and I've forgotten something. So there might be a needle in here. Just because I just want to show you. I'll have to find a sewing machine needle will have to suffice. A needle's a needle at the end of the day. If I can get it out of this tin. Right. Because the beauty of it is, you can take, it's very, very open, right, so it'll help when we're making the lace on the machine, but occasionally we may need to withdraw threads, and the threads will come out really, really easily because it's so openly woven. There's not an issue with pulling threads out of it. So you have a look and see what you can find that's like, it's very open. Can you see that? I hope you can. I think the image I sent of scrim in the welcome mail also gives you a good idea of what it's like. So you get it, if it's bleached, whoop-de-doo, good for you, let me know where you got it. But if it's unbleached, that's how it comes out of the laundering process and the bleaching process, but you can't work with that in this situation. Hot iron, towel on the ironing board, hot iron, press it, and it gets its tension and structure back, and that's what you're going to need. Okay, so hoops, all my hoops are bound. Okay, I found one here that escaped, but I'm going to use that to demonstrate. Some of you have been doing my class for years. I studied at university, and they always told you to bind your hoops, and I didn't. I never did. For a long time I never did. I resisted because I thought it's so tedious. Who wants to do that? And I've got so many. Anyway, I bit the bullet at one point and I did them all, okay? And it's so much better. Please take my advice and bind your hoops. You just bind it in a ring. This is bound with bias binding, cotton bias binding. I can't find my bias binding. If you're new to the class, then something else you'll learn is that there's a lot of things I can't find. I moved house 18 months ago, and I still can't find things. So anyway, you don't have to have bias binding though. This is bias strip cut from old cloth. That will suffice, okay? Although having said that, I've been binding decorative rings in my last class with ribbon, and that's not bias, and that still works. So you have a play, see what you can find. You don't need anything too thick, and that pippin is my iron, just ignore it. So the inner hoop, please, I do encourage you to bind your hoops, even though I was a late convert. So it's just the inner ring, okay? And you just wrap it round. You don't need to stitch it down when you start. You just have to wrap it over and just go all the way around like that. It helps to hold your fabric in place when you're stitching. It helps with the tension, and plus it protects your fabric. Your fabric isn't hopefully going to get marked when you're doing this, when you've bound your hoops. You just do it all the way around so we can not see. Okay, just like that, all the way around the hoop. I won't do it all. Bind your hoop, really, I can't recommend it highly enough. And then when you get to the end, just put a little stitch in, okay? Just put a little tiny stitch in to hold it on, and I do recommend that you do that. So hoops for the sewing machine. Now, can't get this off. I need to bind this actually, I'll do it later, I'll finish that off. I don't understand why that one isn't bound. Never mind, it's a good job it wasn't. So I always use a wooden ring hoop, always on my sewing machine, okay? I just find them easier to work with. Now you can buy these are specifically made for the machine. So they're like metal, and you push that together, you put it in and let it go. Now I don't like these, I don't think they hold the fabric tight enough, so I bought that and I don't really use it, okay? But try what works for you, see what works for you. I've also got this one. I bought this one because I was doing a workshop in France and I needed to make about 30 pieces of lace cloth for the kits, and this was square because obviously these ones are round, so your work ends up round, but you can get round that. When we're doing this class, we'll stitch circular in these hoops. Well, I'll be doing it in these hoops, and then you can take your cloth out and move it to square off edges if you want to make squares, so you don't have to stick with round. It is possible to move your cloth around, reposition it and make it a more angular shape if you want to, but it was getting a bit time consuming doing that with this when I needed so many pieces, so I bought this. Now I don't like this one either, and this one isn't bound, you're right, and this one still got the screw there. It was quite, I think it was about £30 this, it was quite expensive. And here it's got like a groove to get it under the shanking, okay? So I'm going to move my sewing machine over now, but if you're asking me, Karen, what would you recommend? What's the best? I would say this, but that's for me, and everybody's different. And through this class I want you to realise that you don't have to 100% mimic everything I do, because we're all different and we all have little quirks. I've got lots of quirks. We all have little quirks, and some things work better for one person than another, so there's no right way or wrong way. All I'm trying to do is give you my best advice, okay? But seriously, I wouldn't touch these. But then you might have one of these and it might be magical for you, and if it is, let me know. So I'll just bring my machine over, which is here. Now this is a very old, I'm going to have to move the camera, so I'll have to turn off and sort the camera out. It won't be a sec. Right, this is a very old Bernina 1008. I bought this when I was studying, so you're talking 14, 15 years ago. And it's abused and it needs a service, and I've just dropped this and a bit's broke off there, so, but I love it. But I was concerned it was going to die on me, and because of lockdown I wasn't going to be able to get it repaired or serviced or anything. In fact, it's not even. So I bought a new one, but I didn't buy a new one of these because they're prohibitively expensive now. I bought a Bernina again, but the latest model, and I'm avoiding using it because I love this. I have a real passionate affair with this, love affair with this. So what I'm going to do, I said when lockdown's over, well, locally for us, we've got a bit of a lockdown, mini lockdown going on because there's been a spike of cases. But as soon as I can, I'm going to get this serviced and some TLC, because the spool case is broken for a start, so it does need seeing to. But anyway, so this is what I'll be using. Now I can drop my feed, my teeth, using that lever there. Okay, you need to drop your feed for this process, and you also need an embroidery foot. Now, don't panic if you don't have the ability or in your possession either of those things. Okay, now for some time before I bought this, my feed didn't drop. Okay, so those teeth there, I covered them with masking tape. Okay, so if you put masking tape on top of those, but be careful you don't encroach on the hole where your spool thread's coming up, I would say two layers of masking tape, which is just low tack paper tape. Okay, put that on there if your feed won't drop, and that does work. Some machines have a little plate that you put on top. Any problems or any questions, just email me and let me know. Now, the other thing is, when I was studying, there'd be 25 of us on the sewing machines at uni, and there wouldn't be enough feet. So the tutors would say, you can do it without your foot. You can do it with just the needle. The only thing to remember with that, if I put my foot on, and I'll go through all this again when we start, you must drop your foot before you start stitching. Can you see that going up and down? Right. If you haven't got a foot on, it's very difficult because that doesn't move if you do that. If there isn't a foot, you can't see that you've done it. So you must always, always, always check. Foot down, foot down. Program yourself to think, right, foot down, foot down, foot down. Okay, because if you haven't got an embroidery foot, you'll have a nightmare if you forget to put your foot down. Okay, so some of these hoops, this one, allegedly, it's that long since I've used it, that groove allows you to slide and does seamlessly underneath. Okay, now these ones, I never struggled to get them underneath. So, but it's hitting the foot slightly. Can you see that? So if you just, what are you doing? It will lift a little bit if you put your finger under it on my machine anyway. Okay, like that, and get it under. But the other thing you can do is just take your foot off. It's not a massive task taking your foot off. Put your hoop under and then put your foot on. Okay, now I think that was all I thought you should know in advance, so you could maybe prep yourself with hoops, etc. Obviously, and always make your own decisions what's best for you. Because like I say, what's best for me isn't necessarily best for you, and there is definitely no right or wrong way. And while I'm here, especially for the new people, I'll make a video about Flickr, maybe not this coming week, the week after maybe, before class starts anyway. But I just want to say, please don't ever be afraid of putting your images in our private image sharing group. I have never ever witnessed any negativity in that group in terms of comments, feedbacks, anything. I've only ever witnessed affection, encouragement, support. It's amazing. I can't say enough how amazing that process, that little arena, little grouping on Flickr is. It's unfailingly, it's never, I've been doing this for a long time, and I've never ever witnessed anything negative. If you're a beginner, you'll be warmly welcomed and embraced, I swear, honestly. If you're doing something a bit wacky, we love wacky. We love things that divert from what I'm doing. I encourage you to divert from what I'm doing, to find your own path. All I'm here for is to show you what I do and to hopefully inspire you to find your own way with whatever I'm doing. I'm just a facilitator, that's all I am. Anything creative and wonderful is down to you, not me. And if I did see anything negative in there, which will never happen, I just know it. I have so much faith in the girls that have been doing my classes for a long time. I'd clamp down on it immediately. Don't ever worry about that. I can't say enough how much of a benefit, especially for the newbies, you would get taking part in that group on Flickr. Okay, so I'm going to go now because I want to play a bit with this to try something new before class that maybe, if it works, I can share with you in class. But anything you need, any questions, just get in touch with me. I'm pretty quick at answering emails. I think people would confirm that, unless of course you're on the other side of the world and I'm in bed. But mostly, I'm very good and very rapid at responding to you, and it's never ever a problem. Even if you've got a question, you think, I can't ask that, that's a stupid question. There's no stupid questions, because I don't know everything. Nobody knows everything, so ask. I might not even know the answer, but ask, okay? I'll go now then. So anything at all, I'm here, okay?